Hello, I would like to share an idea about how to use a psychological method called focusing in the context of teaching Advaita or the Headless Way or the like. I will also present an example of how this looks like in practice, or it may look like in practice. Advaita is based on an insight in a kind of non-dual nature of our being, and a certain goal is to have this insight not only as a glimpse or temporarily, but if possible, more or less all the time. Therefore, it's a kind of problem that the insight can get lost in everyday life, especially when we are faced with problems. And then we find ourselves as identified with a separate self again. A traditional solution for this problem is to uh, recall this insight actively by thinking of it or applying it to the present situation. And then one can find that even the identification is only a happening in awareness, and that might bring one back to the non dual mode of experiencing. So, this traditional solution is rather a strengthening of the disidentification, a bit like what one would do when one wants to establish a new habit. So far, so good. An alternative or complementary way of working on the problem is exploring psychologically, individually, what stands in the way of remembering the insight. Can we maybe find a feeling of not wanting it? In the focusing method, we can approach this by asking our body, our own body, but this means body in a certain way, not the mechanical body of medicine or traditional biology. In focusing, in the focusing context, body rather means also in a way non-dual environmental interaction, and it means the body from a first person perspective, the felt body, the body that can feel meanings, for instance, or feel situations. When we ask the body in this way, it's very different from asking the mind and getting only our usual assumptions or speculations. For instance, in general, in life, when we say something we do not really mean, or when we do something we do not really want, we have disturbing emotions about it. And in focusing, one can explore these disturbing emotions and get from them new steps or new ideas or um, different feelings about something. And then this can also be applied to Advaita, but then it is an insight, a personal insight about it, uh, related to us as individuals. So one might call this a personalizing of Advaita. The following is an example of a focusing session about Advaita, with an evaluation at the end of it whether it was experienced as helpful. I want to thank Amanda Raine very much for participating in this experiment. Amanda knows focusing very well and also offers focusing sessions. You can find the link to her website as well as mine in the video description. So let's have a look at the session. Yeah. So how does it feel in the body? Uh, uh, the idea to have the non-dual uh, feeling all the time. It-
Um,
or may I
okay.
ask a
Yeah.
little bit specifically? You
Yeah.
can also ask, or we can also ask, is there something in the way of feeling like that all the time? It's perhaps better.
Mm, yeah. Something came, an image of initially like a non-dual feel of being quite spacious, not so many boundaries between things.
Hmm.
But then what came in between was a fear of being like lost in
Okay. Hmm.
uh yeah, almost like yeah, like water, a bucket with holes or something falling over, or like
Oh, okay.
smoke disappearing out, substance would be lost,
Okay. Yeah. A fear of being lost or
dissipating
of
somehow.
dissipating, a fear of dissipating. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
dissolving.
so there is something that doesn't want to get lost or doesn't want to get dissipated. Can one say that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's also a sense of the body can protect if I'm here. So there's a sense of like a, I don't know, like a castle with armored castle and everything is inside.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a feeling the body can protect me
Mm-hmm.
and everything about can protect.
Oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
if that wasn't there, feels yeah, more vulnerable, more there's a fear it can be hurt because
Mm-hmm.
it could float out and be trodden on
Mm-hmm.
or be lost, like parts could be
Mm-hmm.
lost. Yeah.
So this not wanting to get dissipated is a wanting of protection.
Mm. Yeah. And there's something about the body, uh, like something about the solidity of the body, um, that feels kind of warmer, more solid. Feels if it went out, it would be colder, it would be, yeah, less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and something about yeah, disappearing, dissolving, lost. Something about being lost
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not wanted, as if it would dilute, it would dissipate, so it wouldn't like not a thing that would be lost, but
Mm-hmm.
even there would be nothing to come back. It would just dissolve into nothingness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would dissolve uh, and there is a warmth that would dissipate or get diluted also,
Yeah,
is it?
something solid
Mm.
would then become
Is
nothing,
mm,
would be disappear. It feels like it would disappear.
mm-hmm,
So it wouldn't be this anymore. It would just totally disappear.
mm-hmm,
And in the disappearing, if everything here like floated out and dissolved into everything, um, feels like the thinking would be lost, like there's a central thinking part that is like a parent in charge of a big family and keeps them all, or a mother dog keeps all her puppies close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this the one that keeps them close. It's like if they just dissolved, then they went out and they dissolved, they stopped even being puppies. They wouldn't matter. Maybe they wouldn't matter because there'd be no something to matter. They just wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So not mattering, not mattering, not being
Mm-hmm.
seen by the other would be
Mm-hmm.
lost. Mm.
Yeah. What belongs to the family would not matter, or the family would not be together, is a
Um,
idea, or
More that there would be no subject to be validated. There would be the subject of me would dissolve, and
mm,
then there would be, and there's a sense that the subject is somehow hungry, the subject is somehow longing for validation. And if it dissolves, it won't ever get that validation
oh,
because
okay.
it will
Mm-hmm.
stop being a subject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a wanting of validation.
Yeah. And there's a wanting of validation and there's a wanting to be held. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's like a human wanting to be held, and
Mm-hmm.
a thought in the non-dual, there would be no, be less of the feel of the body, and maybe it's an imagination, but feels like it wouldn't be that feeling of being held wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
come in the same
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wanting to receive love, mattering, as a longing to receive those things. And if
Mm-hmm.
there's no solid sense of a body, then can't receive them. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be like trying to hug a ghost.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And there's a belief that in the non-dual state, I will be a ghost. Of course, in the non-dual, there'd be no I to be the ghost, but
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, something about not experiencing oneself.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I'm aware that when I've been in a non-dual state, there is
Mm-hmm.
experiencing,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it feels as if maybe some of the human traumas, unmetness, won't won't get their chance to be met
Oh.
in the
Mm-hmm.
non-dual.
Ah,
Like,
I see. Mm-hmm.
can't get that love that I never got as a child from,
Oh, I see. I
I don't
see.
know,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
person, or the one I,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm trying to get it maybe from my mother or father, I'm still looking for it in a partner or something.
Oh yeah, I
So
see. Mm-hmm.
that will never be met,
Oh, mm-hmm.
but they'd still be experiencing, but
Mm-hmm.
not that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the trauma are related uh, to the limited to the personal feeling, and they would you would not be able to heal them or meet them
Yeah,
the needs connected to them in this other kind of state or
yeah,
so you think, or this thing,
yeah.
this the idea. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. I
Hmm.
mean,
Could you, may I ask a
mm,
question? Or if you would imagine there were no trauma, would that be different?
yeah, feels if there was no unmet longings in this
Hmm.
human body,
Hmm.
then it would be more okay to live in the non-dual state. It's as if the human body doesn't want to give up the identity because it needs some things that
Mm-hmm.
it didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
Although arguably it can never get those anyway, but it believes it can.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And somehow the longing to get the love that wasn't there, maybe as a child, or the validation as a child, seems greater. Like I want that more than to be beyond the body.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you ask me when I'm not doing this, I'd say no, I prefer to be enlightened. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, it feels like it's almost like offering someone you can have gold, all the gold you want in this world, or you can transcend the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something here going, give me the gold, even though another part is like, no, no, that's not the most beneficial answer. That's not really what
Oh,
you
yeah,
want.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
body is like hungry. No, no, I want the gold.
Yeah. It just like that right now. Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
it seems that this is not so relevant for you or not so important or valuable for you as the meeting of the personal needs also or the healing of the traumata.
Although when you say you, there's another part here that's like feels like another part. There's feels like there's this hungry animal, bodily human wanting the love, wanting all of that, wanting the gold. That's here. But it's kind of looking at the ground and it's yeah, it's more like an animal, uh
Mm-hmm.
not an unpleasant animal, but a bit need very needy animal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also something else, a more expansive presence that can see that one. And that more expansive presence is already more in the non-dual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, mm-hmm.
but it's like this can't fully happen because they're sort of somehow connected. So they both have to go the same way,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bit more space coming, a bit more sense. Okay, here's this one with its, I want the love, I want the gold, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And feels a bit more like a character
Mm-hmm.
that's there,
Mm-hmm.
like a yeah, like there is a bigger space
Mm-hmm.
and that one is there and a sense that yeah, maybe that one could always be there whether you're in the non-dual state or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, then the non-dual state is in that sense not contradicting it.
no,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said at the beginning, at times there's a fusing with this one and seeing through this one's eyes only.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a seeing of that one, all its longings and needs are there, can feel it in the body, it's okay, but it's not, I'm not seeing from there. I'm seeing it. There's a seeing of it, not a seeing from it. But when a problem in life comes, it tends to be a seeing from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You might perhaps say a bit about it, like afterwards.
Mm,
Do you think that
yeah.
this kind of thing, exploration helps us all, or?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful actually, because I think it does two things. One, it really helps focus a kind of deeper awareness to what is in between.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
often people go, I want to be enlightened, I want to be enlightened, and they do all these practices, but there's not a looking at maybe parts of me don't want to be enlightened,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, or maybe there's a contraction that comes in the body. So this
Mm-hmm.
is helpful in that way. And I think in another way, it's helpful because you can actually, as you're with those parts that maybe like come in between,
Mm-hmm.
resistant to, just giving them space in this way,
Mm-hmm.
it sort of is a bit like, one of the, I mean, stages to enlightenment, but being a bit more in the witnessing space, so you can be with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're both noticing what comes in between and moving a step closer, because the in between is seen rather than just an unseen, unconscious obstacle. And it can still be it can still be a boulder. Say it comes as a boulder, but you're with the boulder, so or the boulder's
Mm-hmm.
just there. You don't even have to be with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, it's like it's a boulder, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So I think it could be very, very helpful. I think there's a lot of people watch a lot of YouTube videos, go to a lot of teachers. They're like, I want to be enlightened. They're doing a lot of meditation, and they don't, they have blind spots. They're not aware of what's in between. They're not aware there is an in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And they,
yeah. Actually, there is theoretically this is all considered because people will say, okay, oh, in a way uh, your worldly desires are in the way, or your ego, or so
hmm
they acknowledge something is in the way, but
yeah,
they don't they deal with that only in the theoretical sense. I
yeah,
think maybe it makes a
yeah.
difference to feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes a real difference because it's like the difference between saying, oh, yeah, ego's in the way, my attachment to, as if, whereas when you feel it, you're like, oh gosh, it has its own personal flavor unique to you.
Ah, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you can do something because, oh, this is my flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be with that rather than you're just naming it, but
Oh,
not
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
being with
yeah,
it
yeah. Yeah. So the
otherwise.
understanding is more related to you personally than to
Yeah.
your situation, your life, your traumata, or whatever. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think it probably helps get through some kind of spiritual bypassing because it brings an insight. It's easy to say, oh, it's attachment to human things, to name that, or
Mhm.
that's kind of outside of you. But when you feel it in your body and go,
Mhm.
like, oh, I need validation or I need to be held, or that
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
like, oh, that's mine. And then
Mhm.
you've got more of a indication of what, yeah, your flavor, what your in between is. And then you
Mhm.
can, target, you can that, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
that other just naming it. It's not doing
Mhm.
anything. It's not embodied. It's never going to shift because you haven't owned it. You haven't
Yeah, yeah.
surrendered to it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
haven't,
I think so. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
And I also think that some people think they are nearer to spirituality if they bypass psychological things. And I think in this example, we rather have the result that it's vice versa, that by being in contact with a person, you are nearer to spirituality, or you get nearer. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it doesn't mean just because I named specific a longing to get maybe love or validation that I didn't have as a child, doesn't mean I have to explore that. I may explore that, I may work on that with the therapist, but it feels like that's seen and you can be with it. Doesn't have to necessarily change,
yeah, okay.
but you're with your flavor, you're with what's there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you have to go in and explore. For some people, that's their route. But for me, at the end, it was there, it was seen,
Mm-hmm.
and there was also more of a connection to a bigger space. I didn't have to,
Mm-hmm.
you could do, but it's not required. Whereas if you say there's nothing there, as in I need to just jump over the personhood, well, it is there. It is
Mm-hmm.
there. That's
Mm-hmm.
why it's, I guess, bypassing it. It's there. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the elephant in the room. It's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there. So there's no awareness. You're not being very mindful. You're just
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. Whereas it's more mindful to go, it's there. And so is I can rest in stillness or in the
Mm-hmm.
non-dual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, after this example of a session, I would like to add that questions of the kind, what stands in the way of the non dual experiencing, are only one possible way of asking. We can, for instance, also ask the body, what do I love about the non dual experiencing, and wait for an answer of the body. Or we can alternate between asking for the felt sense of wanting to have it and the felt sense of not wanting to have it, with a few minutes for each option. Uh, I myself would like to experiment with applying focusing to Advaita further, and I invite and encourage you to try it for yourself. Thank you for watching the video.